All right, guys. Good Monday afternoon to you. Let's dive in today. We're learning kind of a classic algebra lesson today. We're learning about FOIL. Okay, this is a classic algebra thing. All right. Let's look back. We've been doing this already, so let's just review the idea of multiplying monomials. So if I've got this 6x times this binomial 5x minus 3, it's just a simple distributing problem, right? We're going to multiply that 6x with each of those terms inside. 6 times 5, 30, x times x, x squared, okay? And remember, those invisible ones add up. X times x becomes x squared, and then keep going. 6 times a negative 3, negative 18, and don't forget to carry your x to your answer. All right, and that's pretty straightforward. Let's just do it one more time. Same idea. Multiply that 4 outside with each term inside. 4 times 5, 20. Don't forget your x. And then 4 times negative 3, negative 12. All right, so that's something pretty straightforward. We've already been doing that. That's just a monomial, a single term, and you distribute to get it through. What if we needed to multiply a binomial with another binomial? Instead of one thing out front, what if there were two? Well, it turns out you already done it. You just didn't know it. There's the 6x we just did on the first problem. There's the 4 we just multiplied through on the second problem. And they both multiplied with the 5x minus 3. So what if I just did this? And now we had to multiply the first binomial, the 6x plus 4, times the second one, the 5x minus 3. Well, it turns out we did that in two separate pieces as this intro problem. And if we put it all together, we're just going to end up with the exact same answer, and we would just combine those. So let's look at that process and learn to do both of those things at once within the one problem. Okay, multiplying binomials is really just distributing twice. So let's look at that. The 6x plus 4, because of these parentheses, I'd like a yellow highlighter. Because of these parentheses here, it's telling us everything inside the first binomial is multiplying with everything inside the second binomial. So we could rewrite and break down the problem to say, well, it's just the 6x times the 5x minus 3, and it's also the 4 times the 5x minus 3. It's just written together in the one problem. So we can look at it as just the distributing we would normally do. Make sure the 6x multiplies with those guys. And then do another round of distributing the 4 through. And make sure he distributes to both of those guys. And in the end, we have the answer for 6x distributing and multiplying with that second binomial and the 4. And then we would just add together those two pieces, and we're going to get the final answer. So it turns out it's just a problem you already know. It's just doing a distributing problem, but doing it twice. Let's do that. All right. Here's where the FOIL comes in. The FOIL is an acronym to just help us remember the 4 times we need to distribute. So let's dive in and I'll show you. F stands for first. As in, multiply the first term of each of those binomials. There you go, the 3x times the negative 7x, which is negative 21x squared. O stands for outside. Whoops, I already have an O. Why am I writing an O? Outside meaning multiply the outside, the 3x, with the other outside, the 5. 3x times 5 is plus 15x. And notice, at this point, these two guys here finish up the 3x on the front, okay? Those guys take care of distributing the 3x. He's finished. The 3x multiplied with everything in the second binomial, so he's done. So now we just finished with the negative 4 on those other two letters. I inside. And I'll put these on the bottom so our arrows don't get too confusing. So now we're multiplying the two inside values. Negative 4 times negative 7, it's positive 28. Don't forget your x. And L for the last. And that's the negative 4 times the 5, which is negative 20. And that is the work to finish the second term, the negative 4. So the FO, that's the top arrows, they're distributing your 3x through. And then the IL of FOIL, the last two letters are distributing the negative 4 to the other binomial. And now we're done. So this, although correct mathematically, just isn't finished yet. We have to go that last step of combining any like terms, and then we're done. So we can see that's what we got by distributing that 3x. The second half is what we got when distributing the negative 4. Now just look for any like terms and put those guys together. And I don't think I have another color that's not something up here, so we'll just go with purple. The x squared, there isn't any other x squared, so we'll just copy them down to the answer. X's with x's right here in the middle, so 15 and 28, that's 38, 43, so that's just like terms adding together, 43 x's. And then the minus 20, the constant, nothing else to combine with him. And there we go. We did 2 rounds of distributing, and then we combined some like terms, and there you go. Now, that's the whole idea, the whole lesson today. And if that makes sense to you, fantastic. Use that method, use FOIL. That's what I use. That's how I multiply binomials. But there's another method called the box method. I'll also show you that. You can pick whichever way you want to do it. They're exactly the same. It's just organizing. Okay? The 3x minus 4 times the negative 7x plus 5 is the exact same problem. I'll just show you another way people often do it. They would write up the first binomial here, put it down the side, 3x and minus 4. So I just took the first one and put it in the two terms down the side of the box. Then I'll take the other one, the other binomial, and put them across the top. This probably looks familiar to some of you guys from how you learned how to multiply in grade school. They kind of do some methods like this that they didn't do when I was a kid, but they have been doing in recent times, I've noticed. So this may look familiar to you. Okay, and now I'm multiplying to fill the box. And this is exactly the same as the FOIL. If we look up top, that first arrow, the 3x and the negative 7x, that's right here. Okay, 3 times negative 7, negative 21, x squared. And then we just keep moving. The 3x times the 5, the outside, is right here, 15x. There's the O of FOIL. And I'm sure you can see how this finishes. There's the I. Now we've moved on to the negative 4, so now we're on the bottom times the negative 7x. That's the I, the inside numbers. And that's a positive 28x. And then the L's right there. And that's the last value. That's the negative 4 times the 5, negative 20. So notice the 4 terms in the box are exactly the same as the 4 terms we got right there. It just is in a box, whatever makes the most sense to you. And then don't forget, combine your like terms out of here just like you would otherwise. So negative 21x squared, no other like terms. But I've got 2 x's right here, so those guys would go together. The 15 and the 28 are like, so that's, again, 43x. And then we've got that negative 20 by itself, no other like terms. And either way, we end up with the exact same answer. That negative 21x squared plus 43x minus 20. It's just how you would like to organize it, whether you want to use the arrows or whether you want to use the box. All right. Why don't you guys try it? And I want you to try both methods because you really don't know until you try something. Okay? It's the same exact problem. use it both ways. I want you to FOIL it out, and then I want you to box it out. And at that point, you can decide which one you like and which one you want to use. Okay? So I'll walk through and start it with you, and then we can get going. Okay, we'll copy it down. And then you've got your FOIL. First, outside, I did the double O again. Inside, and last. Okay, so that'll be your 4 arrows. On the box, put 1 binomial on the side, 1 across the top. And by the way, if you flipped and reversed these, it wouldn't matter. Multiplication is commutative. Remember, commutative means the order you do it doesn't matter. So if I put the first binomial on top, second one on the side, you're still going to get the right answer because you're still multiplying each term with each other term. So you're fine. Fill the box with those 4 distributing multiplies you need to do. Combine your like terms. It doesn't matter which side of the box you used. All right, go ahead and do it both ways, and I'll check your work and go behind you in a sec. All right, let's do this. Let's see how you're doing. So I'd have my FO first and outside. Those are the 2 along the top. That takes care of the negative 6x. So the negative 6 times 7, negative 42 x squared. Then I would do the other 2, the IL, and that's the inside terms, and the last terms. Those 2 deal with the 5 for us. Wait a second. Back up. I forgot to finish my second term, didn't I? I'm going to confuse you guys. Negative 6x times negative 2, positive 12x. Sorry about that. Now we're ready to go to the other 2. I jumped the gun. 5 times that 7 plus 35x. And then the 5 times the negative 2 minus 10. Okay? So the 2 yellow represents that first, the negative 6x distributing through, and the 2 blue are distributing that 5 through. Now just combine your like terms, and we will be finished. Have you guys started noticing a pattern with the like terms? Most of your FOIL problems will look like the ones I've given you here. There'll be an x term and then a constant, and that'll be both binomials. And whenever that happens, you always end up with an x squared term, 2 x terms in the middle that are like to combine. So that'll be a 47x. You'll have 2 x terms that combine, and then you'll have just that constant at the end, and you'll just bring that down. And that's very often the format you're going to see with the FOIL type problems you'll get. Not a guarantee, but a lot of the time that's what you'll see. You'll end up with that format for your final polynomial. All right, let's do it again, but do it box method and see if it's making sense to you guys that way as well. I'm just going to multiply and fill these boxes. That's a negative 42x squared. Going across, negative times negative is positive 12x. 7 times the 5 is a 35x. And the 5 times the negative 2, negative 10. Okay. Now, I'm just going to rewrite this and combine the like terms. I've got my negative 42x squared. No like terms, so he's just copied. Here's my set of like terms with my x's. So 35 and 12 is plus 47x. And then bring down that minus 10. And if we did it correctly, we should have the same thing for both methods. Negative 42x squared plus a 47x minus 10. Exact same thing. Notice it's just the exact same 4 calculations. They're just organized differently. Okay, at this point you've tried both. Pick the method you like. You can work with that one from now on. All right, there's 2 practice problems for you. Do those fully with whatever your method of choice is. Go. All right, let's see how you're doing. I'll do one each way so that folks can get a version of their method for both. So I'll do this first one FOIL. There's my multiplying the negative 3y through, so I'll get that negative 12y squared. And that plus 24y. Now I'll work on that 7 and distribute it through. There's those other two arrows for FOIL. So I've got a plus 28y and a minus 56. Now we just put it all together. And again, there's only that one like term right in the middle. Copy down my squared y, put those together. What's that? 40, 52. And bring down the 56. There you go. So that would be how you do number 1 using FOIL. Number 2, I'll do with the box method. Just copy in my 5p and my negative 9. Watch your signs. Signs got to stay with every term. Make sure they keep their signs. And I'm just going to multiply to fill. Negative 15p squared. That's going to be a negative 30p. Then we've got negative 3 times negative 9 is 27p. And negative 9 times negative 6, positive 54. And then we'll just fill it in. We'll get the negative 15p squared. Like term right there. 27 and negative 30 is negative 3p. And our plus 54. So there you go. There's the second one using box. Now, regardless, you see your answer. Doesn't matter which method you use. That's going to be the same thing with either method. So make sure your answers match regardless of your method. All right. What if we now want to square a binomial? And what do I mean by that? Well, this top problem here, the 2x minus 3, times 2x minus 3. Notice it's the same thing. And we would do this with FOIL exactly the same as we would do any other problem. Okay, multiply and distribute that 2x times everything in the second binomial. Then the negative 3 times everything in the second binomial. But we might see this written in its original form as this. You might see the problem given to you as that. And if you see a 2x minus 3 squared, it just means this, 2x minus 3 times 2x minus 3. So you just expand it back out, write it next to itself twice, and then you do your normal FOIL process. So if I saw that problem, I would just write out 2x minus 3 times 2x minus 3, and then I would just go from there. 4x squared minus 6x, and then I would do the other two. Minus 6x plus 9, and end up with 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. Notice that's not an opposite pair in the middle because they're both negative numbers. And that'll happen when you're squaring like that because you're going to create 2 of that middle term. You're squaring the same thing, so you're going to see that pattern. You give it a shot. Do the bottom one. Go. All right, all that we need to do here is just expand that guy out. If it's squared, it's just telling us multiply 2 4x minus 1s with each other. And we're just going to draw those FOIL arrows and end up with a 16. X squared minus 4x minus another 4x plus 1. So that's a 16. Wow. It's a 16x squared. Combine those two like terms, minus 8x. And a plus 1 in standard form, all simplified. There you go. Simple as that. All right, there's your homework. You've got a couple of review problems from the earlier parts of this unit. In today's lesson, some FOIL problems, and then a bit of a challenge problem number 4, and yes, you need to try it. What if there are more terms? It's a binomial times a trinomial. Well, binomial times binomial, group of 2 times group of 2 means 4 total arrows, 4 times distributing. So if it's a binomial times a trinomial, the hint tells us we just need to distribute more times. You just need to get everything connected. Each term in that front binomial distributes to each of that back trinomial. You'll end up with 6 arrows, 6 distributings, and there you go. Give it a shot.